Thank you, man.
Got a signature at the bottom.
So I got some questions about this, the way we strap our material. I modified this headache rack, and it's not the stoutest or sturdiest thing. You can see it's got that shake to it, but all this is a support for 16-foot long pieces. And then at the back we got what's called an extended truck or hitch hauler, whatever you want to call it. I usually put one of these bungees on the front of our material because one time I was driving on I-30 here in DFW, and where this strap is, when I got to the job site, it was like someone took a freaking Sawzall and cut right here, because all the stuff was just, this stuff gets loose at the front like that. All the stuff just snapped off, and this lady drove up next to me and was like pointing at the top, and I just gave her a thumbs up. I didn't know what she was talking about. So now I put like a strap or some kind of like that plastic wrap like how they have here. But the back, I'll show you this. This is just like how you connect a trailer hitch, this little pin. And then there's one down here too at the bottom that goes into the receiver. And my dad helped me weld this because I'm not that good of a welder. This brace, because we've definitely put this has a 300-pound capacity and we've maxed it out beyond that. But I like having a truck rather than a van, at least right now. I think one day I'll get a trailer, but I live in an HOA right now and they don't allow trailers. So in the future, I think I'll pull a trailer. Here's where we're working today. It's gonna be this laundry room, and I'm gonna be doing some wainscot on this wall and that wall right in front. So we gotta bust this out of here very carefully so it don't damage too much. And this is gonna be, you can see he already laid out kind of how he wants it because he's cool like that. Saves me some time on layout. So I'll start by removing this shelf. We took the dryer out, so washer is right there, that can stay. As long as I can get my sprayer back here, we're good. But I like how they did this baseboard transition around that dryer vent. They went up and around, I like that. So I'm just scoring the caulk line, so when I pry this stuff off the wall, it doesn't tear up the drywall as much. There's always going to be some tear up, but we can limit it by cutting that caulk line. I'll go ahead and cut this one too up in here, just so it separates easier. When I'm taking this stuff out, yeah, this might come out in one piece. Nice. Now to clean this wall up, what I'm gonna do, I got this pry bar. This pry bar is from Home Depot. It's in the paint section. It's not in the tool section. I don't know why it's in the paint section, but it's there. But you'll just take this pry bar, and you can see that old caulking, and it's perfect. It's not too sharp. So watch this. I'm gonna try to get this thing to focus. I can just, come on, focus. You just get all this out easy, and that wall cleans up nicely. So I'm gonna get started cutting my top rail and bottom rail, and then I'm gonna cut all my vertical stiles using this arm that has a stop block on it. So I got my two horizontal rails and I need to cut my vertical stiles. And one way you can set up your stop block is just put your saw down and lock it. And then hold your tape measure against the blade and then bring the stop block over. Now these stop blocks on this DeWalt stand are not the most precise, but they're gonna work for this. They just take some messing around with. There's definitely way better systems out there for stop blocks, but for just making these straight cuts on 1x, this is gonna be fine. Good. So this one I definitely had to assemble in here because there's no way I'm getting this sucker through the twists and turns coming into this laundry room. All right, before we move on with the next step, I just want to point out, because I know the question will probably come up, we're going to put these panels behind the layout of these stiles and rails. But in order to know where to break the seam, because we want the seams on those bead boards that we're going to put back here to break on these stiles and rails. So what you see in between inside of each panel is going to be perfect, meaning we won't have a panel back there split like right in the middle here. With beadboard you can do that and still make it look good, but it's just extra work, and you have to nail that seam because it'll be like offset because the walls aren't perfect. So to avoid all that, we're just going to take our carpenter's pencil and mark up and down these stiles and rails. That way when we move this out of the way and we're putting the panels on, we can know behind these two marks right here, we can split some beadboard paneling, and when we go put this on, it'll cover it up. We do the same thing anytime we're doing, even if it's not beadboard, because we don't want to have any nail holes or anything in this area. Maybe? Nope. Yes. Yep. You forgot to hit record. You forgot to hit record. No, but I forgot to hit record when I cut this. And yeah, so you can't see it. So for this, I'm not worried about hitting a stud trying to get this on there. I'm using the staple gun. These are 18 gauge staples. The most important thing with this is just making sure that I don't shoot in a visible area that's going to be exposed by one of these panels. So I've made my lines go up a little bit higher so I could see if I shoot down this bead right here, none of that will be seen. And then the adhesive is doing most of the work holding this anyways. So we got our stiles right here lined up in the corner, and we got a tight corner all the way down, and we should line up on the rails down here too. Good. Then we have our cap right here, 45 miter. I just threw my miter saw protractor in that corner. Told me 45. And then behind here, you can see that seam right there. That's where the two beadboards come together, and you'll never see it. And of course, none of this stuff is installed yet. Smooth here due to the pocket holes. Now this piece right here, this unit, it's tight, but we can just push it in and it's gonna hold tight right there to the beadboard. We won't have too much to caulk in right there, but we'll nail that in, and that'll be what we want. All right, so here's a view from the top. Down behind here is the beadboard paneling. You can see it right there. It's right there behind the 1x. So there's a gap between the wall and the 1x. And we're just gonna solve that with our 1x2 cap. So I'll put our 1x2 cap here. And the good thing about this cap also is that it's flexible. It can be pushed up against the wall if there's a crowned stud sticking out, and it hides a gap. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this right now. Here's a view from the bottom. Cap looks real clean and classic. And we'll take you up here and see how tight that thing hugs the wall. Dang, it took me longer than I thought. Oh, there's John coming out right now of the house. All right, so that's gonna do it for this video. We got that beadboard wainscot installed tomorrow. I'll prep, prime, paint it, and we'll be on to the next job, which will be a crown molding job in a bunch of common areas in a house up north. And we'll probably show you some stuff from that. But that's gonna do it for this video, and I gotta get this mess cleaned up before it gets too dark. So we'll see y'all on the next video. Take care.